Well, hello and welcome to TwoSun Tuesday. And today we have, it's a weird one here. Apologies for the voice. I am still basically getting over an illness. It was, for the most part, just a fever, but, yeah, it has kind of affected my, energy levels and all of that sort of stuff. So, we see we have, titanium and micarta here, with some, titanium, pivot colors on both sides. Not call-out colors, kind of almost bespoke to this model. I do think they've probably used them on like the 169 or something like that as well in the past. But yeah, we got their newer canvas micarta. You can really see the thread count and all that sort of stuff on the inside there. So much more a standard micarta, excuse me, rather than the epoxy with a little bit of burlap going on that kind of was their older stuff there. Yeah, don't really have a problem with a snaggletooth on this one, so that's good. We got a hidden lanyard hole on it. We can see that NightMorning has opted to have their insignia ground in there and TwoSun on the other side. That kind of reminds me of their model number 49. Let's see if I can't find this guy here. There we go. This used to be one of their flagships for a very long time. But yeah, we got the little TwoSun thing there and NightMorning design. This is a weird elongated Tonto, but that's not what we're talking about today. So, we got jumping that goes from here all the way around and all the way around this little loop here. Let's see if I can't get it open. Yep, I can. That did take quite a bit of modification and, well, not modification, but a lot of tuning up and cleaning and stuff like that. This thing came with some pretty terrible action right out of the box there. But that's okay. I got it all sorts of figured out. This is a liner lock there, and it's not nested into, well, I suppose it is kind of nested into the titanium, as in it moves out of the way and gets in flush there, but as you can see, yeah, it's just a little bit different out there. This blade shape is, it's something else. In fact, it is something else. It's much larger, but this is the TS143, their first button lock. And while the arched clip on this one is a little bit similar, and of course the grind does come back a little bit. As far as the blade shape, they're very similar. And there is also a much less expensive version of this guy out there that still has a button lock as well. But a little bit of an issue I have with this thing that really doesn't make it very popular with me is this guy. Well, right out of the box, this thing was not sharp, almost at all. And I kind of don't blame him. We have a 3.75 millimeter blade stock thickness, which for something this small, it's a bit of a challenge there, but they did not finish doing any sharpening on this whatsoever. So yeah, this thing couldn't even slice through standard printer paper or anything like that when I got it. So we have a hollow grind here, which in their usual fashion, the hollow grind is really thick behind the edge there. So a whole lot of edge stability, but not something you need in a knife that's well under 3 inches. But then we also have the standard grind after that that's even thicker. So this thing basically has the cutting geometry of a fire axe, essentially. And it did take a heck of a lot for me to end up getting this thing sharpened up to anything kind of resembling a nice consistent edge on it. I did sharpen this basically on my on my belt grinder rather than doing the standard clamp behind kind of systems there. And this is kind of an Americanized Tonto or Western Tonto kind of thing going on here, which means you really want to treat this and this as two different edges. So I did, and to basically keep them somewhat consistent in that shoulder behind there, I've done 17, which is my standard for a lot of D2 on the flats there, and then I had to go up to 23 degrees for this to basically keep it anywhere remotely consistent. I might have been able to take this up to 22, but it kind of wouldn't be within the purpose that this knife serves, so I kind of left it at that. The ergonomics on it, unfortunately, are pretty darn good. The jimping is basically where I'd want it, but I do kind of feel that this is like a three-finger shank. In all honesty, you're not really doing a lot of precision cutting with this thing here. Just with how thick it is and everything like that, you can muscle it through some things, and luckily you do have a bit of a thickness and everything like that to fill your hands out with it. But yeah, a slicer, this is not. So in that particular way, I don't really feel this is fully appropriate for EDC for a lot of different tasks. However, what this thing is actually designed for, that I honestly don't know either. So there you go with that. I'm going to feign ignorance on a little bit of that stuff there. But yeah, it looks like an itty bitty version of the 313. Luckily though, unlike the large button lock guy here with the tip that you can, I suppose, get a hold of, this one is fully encapsulated, so that's good. And we do have some facets that kind of act a little bit as a poor man's crowning going on above that. But for the most part, it doesn't really feel comfortable to be out there. It feels much more comfortable to be back behind the jimping on this one in particular here. So yeah, with basically all of their stuff, we got D2 steel right now. And I mean, this thing does have some interesting construction going on for it. I will give it that. And basically, everything that I don't actually enjoy about it is just the blade of the implementation there. We do have some slots here on the micarta on both sides. I do believe this is designed in case you actually want to put some tritium vials in there to have it have a little bit of glow or something like that. They are not the easiest things to get a hold of here in the U.S., but especially over in the Asian markets, they're much easier to get a hold of, which is why you'll see a lot of different things have little tritium areas on them, especially on a lot of flashlights and stuff like that too. But whatever, I digress. So yeah, liner lock here. Unfortunately, mine do have a little bit of loose bearing cages in there. I can fix that. I just haven't yet. And because of that, if I wiggle this up next to the microphone over here, you can see the blade does move just a little bit without actually riding on those bearings at all there, which just kind of makes it feel a little funky. I generally don't like how that feels, but like I said, I can easily fix some of that with the bearings, bearing races on the inside there. But yeah, that's mostly what I want to do to end up covering there. Let's see, we can do some blade size comparisons as I talk a little bit about the other stats going on here. I did mention the 3.75 millimeter blade stock thickness. Let's start out with some Benchmade's here. There we go. The Benchmade bug out is quite large in comparison here. So yeah, that 940 is also going to look quite large. But still, that'll give you an idea how small we're actually talking here. The blade length on it, 2.35 inches. That'll be 59.8 millimeters there. Let's see. There we go against the original Elementum. And yeah, even the K-Bar Folding Hunter is quite a bit larger. For Spyderco, I actually have a new blade I can kind of use for some comparisons here. It's a Para 3! Hooray! There's a crazy story on how I've actually come to have that little guy there, but maybe I will go over that during the disassembly. That way people who don't care about it don't really have to listen to me ramble on it. But yeah, I mean, Para 3 is still larger, but still kind of within the same range of actual usable blade length and all that sort of stuff there. The rest of the Spydercos I have, way too large. But since this is quite a smaller knife, I'll pull out a couple of slip joints here. And yeah, we can see even the Real Steel Luna and the Range Buster Junior are still larger than this thing. It's not a lengthy knife. Let's go ahead and put it that way. But still definitely quite thicker. It is 0.60, so definitely thicker than a Paramilitary 2 or Para 3. That'll be 15.2 millimeters there. And lastly, we got weight. This thing is just under 3 ounces, 2.96 ounces, or 84 grams. So not incredibly heavy, and that definitely does have a lot to do with the micarta that's used on the top side of it. But yeah, there we go. I think that's basically everything that I wanted to cover with it. Ergonomically, really, really comfortable. It does have an interesting construction, which we'll see a little bit more in depth as I take it apart. But the blade on this thing really isn't designed for cutting much, as far as I can actually tell. Maybe it does have some specific use cases or something like that. Something you really need a very, very reinforced tip to be able to shove in, but not very far before you start a cut or something like that. I don't know. I'm just not quite sure of the intended use case for it. But yeah, there we go. There's the standard review for it. So if that's what you came by for, then appreciate y'all for stopping by. For the rest of us, though, we're going to take a look a little bit deeper in on this guy here. And I will also throw that Para 3 over there so I can talk about that as I kind of do that there. So my roommate has been attending a new gym for a while, and noticed this at the very, very back end of the parking lot, sitting on a curb, and went, huh, that's interesting, and kind of left it there for a week. Because, well, if someone, accidentally left that there, they might come back for it. So did that. And the next week, it was still there. So at that point, they picked it up and brought it into the gym itself, and basically had the gym. I can't prove that because I don't go to the gym, but supposedly emailed all of their patrons about it. And nobody responded for a week, so he basically took it home and threw it over to me and went, here's a crusty old Spyderco. You think it's any good? And, well, spoiler alert, yes, it is very good. But, yeah, here we are with the TwoSun. We got some, I don't know, some weird drawings of maybe like a very small kid's assumption of the side shot of like a Formula One car or something like that. And then the titanium, which also kind of mimics that same kind of two-lobed approach there. There's the liner that goes basically on top there for it. I suppose it is fully nested, since it does come back up here. So yeah, I guess it is a nested liner. I guess I screwed that up just a little bit. That's okay. And absolutely minuscule little ceramic bearings here. So yeah, sorry about the cut here. I accidentally flayed myself just a little tiny bit while applying some blade protectant to something there. Yeah. So brought it home, and there was some problems going on with this guy. It wasn't too bad, but it was obviously left out in the elements for at least a week, if not much longer than that. Um, but yeah, this thing, tan G10, black coated blade, 20 CV blade steel. Looking up information for it, looks like this came from DLT Trading, which is interesting because that's who did my exclusive of the Para 2 in Crewwear. But yeah, I think they sold for like $190 or $200 or something like that. Pretty crazy. But yeah, we went through a whole bunch of roads and then ended up taking it home, and he tossed it off to me. So this thing had just a little tiny bit of a chip to the tip of the blade, which I've ended up taking care of when I did a resharpen on it. I kept it at the same angle from the factory. In this particular case, from where I had it clamped, it was 19 degrees. The edge was a little bit rolled, which is why I ended up doing sharpening on it. And it did have just a little tiny notch of rust going on it. Of course, the cleaning and sharpening took care of that. But some of the hardware on the inside, especially like the stop pin, had a little bit more. So these things aren't quite made with the same hardware that the Salt series is, for better or worse. In this case, maybe just a little tiny bit worse, but it was out in some crazy environments for a while. But yeah, there we go. So there's the story on how I've ended up stumbling ass backwards into a Para 3 and some pretty good specs and all that sort of good stuff. So there we go. This guy does take a little bit of concentration to actually get it back together. I should have paid a little bit more attention to what I was doing there. Not to worry though. We got that. The bearing races on these things don't have much of a groove like their larger counterparts do. But yeah, when they're in there, you see they do rock and roll and move around and stuff like that. Which is why I will end up using just a little tiny bit of KPL Heavy to add just a little tiny bit of friction on the bottom side there. That's more than it should take otherwise. Toss that down there. They do make some kind of a bearing adhesive. I know Loctite does. It's 6 something or other. Which does actually worry me a little bit because of how well it apparently works. And well, sometimes you might actually want to remove those, which might or might not be capable of doing so after applying that stuff. So I'm a little wary about picking a whole bunch of it up for use in securing these guys. But yeah, all right. So there's that. I can go ahead and slap one of those guys in there. We of course have the back spacer here. So move that around and get the blade stop pin in there. Slap you on there on top. Let's do that. A little tiny bit more. KPL Heavy to hold this bearing a little bit more on the straight and or narrow. Then I can flip that over and slap it on top. You can do it. There we go. And of course, slap these guys on top here. And yeah, I kind of thought so. The pivot side is actually a little bit shorter screw than what's going on in the back there. It's a little bit interesting. I don't think they needed to. Maybe they did. Back that up just a little tiny bit. Open that guy back up. Yeah, got just a little tiny bit of blade play there. So, alright, all of that's gone. Yeah, you can definitely see this doesn't have the crazy smooth action of a larger blade with longer or more bearing contact and all that sort of stuff. But there we go. There's everything I wanted to cover on the inside of this guy and how I kind of came into getting the pair of 3. So there we go. Here's everything I wanted to cover on it. So as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. And have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.